everyone knows climate change is true because we're experiencing all these record weather events.
The most hurricane-force winds in a single day.
Temperatures hitting new records.
Records tumbling like dominoes.
Or are we? I'm Tom Nelson. This is Guerrilla Science, and I'm here to tell you, whenever anyone tells you it's an all-time record, this or that, I guarantee they're not telling you the truth. Here's my handy guide to how to create a climate record. This year saw a record number of news reports about record weather events.
A record-breaking heat wave.
Record-breaking drought, the hottest month ever on Earth.
Who wouldn't believe that man-made climate change is true when there are so many records being set?
We live in the age of broken record breaking.
But do you really believe that last summer was the hottest summer ever? Let's take a look. We have lots of different ways of measuring recent temperatures with thermometers, weather balloons, and satellites, and of temperatures thousands and even millions of years ago by looking at tree rings, ice sheets, rock formations, by drilling into the ocean floor, and so on. Geologists have reconstructed temperatures dating back about 500 million years. Impressive, huh? This is what it looks like. This is a graph you can find on Google. It's produced by the paleotemperature geologists, the Smithsonian Institution. Wow, it's going up and down, red hot up here, cold blue down here. Where are we? That's us down there. Does that look like the hottest year ever to you? No, in fact, we're in a blue bit. That's an ice age. It's called the late Cenozoic ice age, and we are in the middle of it. Yes, it's true. We are in an ice age right now. That's why there's ice at the poles. Here's another graph from a major study published recently in the academic journal Science. 550 million years ago again. Where are we? Right down here. Does that look like a record? This graph was produced by a team led by a highly respected paleoclimatologist called Jan Weiser. Professor Weitzer has not one but 2 PhDs, and his studies are published frequently in the world's top science journal, Nature. Here's temperatures over the last 500 million years. And where are we?
Hello.
Oh yeah, all the way down here. Does that look like a record hot temperature to you? The truth is, there are very few times in the past 500 million years as cold as it is right now. We're not in a record cold period, but pretty close to it. Ah, I hear you say. But what about on shorter timescales? Okay, here's the last 50 million years. You see, 50 million years ago, it was as much as 10 degrees Celsius hotter than today. Here's us. Does that look like record hot temperature? You can look this up for yourself. It comes from NOAA. This period, by the way, is when all of today's mammals were evolving, including us humans. And it was much warmer than we are now. You want shorter timescales? This is the late phase of our current ice age, the past few hundred thousands of years. Glacial maxima down here, really, really cold. Glacial minima up here, less cold, thank goodness. We are in a glacial minimum, which has lasted about 10,000 years. Is it record hot? No, the last one was hotter. How about the current Holocene, the last 10,000 years? Let's look at this paper just published. Temperatures throughout the Holocene, 8,000 to 4,000 years ago, when CO2 hovered around 265 ppm, were up to 5 degrees Celsius warmer than today. Modern temperatures are among the coldest of the last 10,000 years. Or this paper? Or this paper? Here we have Greenland summer temperatures for the past 10,000 years. This is us down here. Does that look like record hot? No way. It's been as warm or warmer for most of the last 10,000 years. When was the last time you read a headline about that? Record temperatures today? Forget it. So apart from ignoring the vast amount of scientific evidence to the contrary, are there any other tricks used to claim that we're experiencing record temperatures? I'm glad you asked. Yes, there are. Trick number 1. Ignore the effect of the expansion of towns, cities, and airports over the course of the 20th century. These all affect temperature readings and make it look like there's more warming when in fact there's none or very little over the course of the 20th century.
These thermometer readings are even adjusted by climate agencies to contradict the urban heat bias. Here are the maximum temperatures from actual thermometers in the US since 1895, the longest running and most reliable temperature record in the world. There has been no recent warming, and even with the expansion of towns and cities, temperature readings were still higher in the 1930s. But look how climate agencies adjust the same data. Suddenly temperatures look like they are rising. By ignoring urban heat bias and adjusting temperature records, climate alarmists have been able to create the graph that lied.
For our comprehensive takedown of this ridiculous graph, check out our other Guerrilla Science films. Trick number 2. This is easy. Use model simulations instead of real data.
Look at this map of global warming since 1880 from NASA. Do you think they've got data from Siberia and Mongolia and the middle of Antarctica from the 19th century? And in the middle of all those oceans, there were no weather stations and no weather satellites until the 1970s.
So instead, they put into a computer the assumption that CO2 will warm the world, and they pretend that what comes out of it is real data, when it is nothing of the kind. It is a pure invention. Trick number 3. Carefully edit your graphs and cherry pick your data. Here, for example, is another graph put out by the US government under the heading Climate Change Indicators Heat Waves. The EPA warns heat waves are occurring more often than they used to, and their frequency has increased steadily. Oh, this looks terrifying. Cue all the headlines. Heat waves hit record highs according to official government agencies. But hold on, why does the government data start in 1960 when there is perfectly good data stretching back to the late 19th century? This is why. This data is also from the US government.
The U.S. Heat Wave Index.
Starting in 1960 gives the impression of an increase, when in fact there is no overall trend at all. And in fact, heat waves were far more common and far hotter in the 1930s, spectacularly so.
And if we dig deep into a government report,
We discover this graph from NOAA, buried away. It tells about hot days in the US since 1900. This comes from the US government, remember. It tells us that the hot days were hotter in the 1930s than they are now. Reports of record high temperatures are pure BS, and the official data shows that. And this same trick can be applied to almost anything you like. Here's an alarming graph issued by the US government's EPA, the terrifying increase in the number of wildfires in the US. Here's another from the National Interagency Fire Center. As a result, you read headlines like, US wildfires, record-breaking blazes. Record fire year in the US. But why do these graphs start when they do? We have excellent records of wildfires going back 100 years. When we look at them, what do we see? In the 1920s and 30s, when there were so many more heat waves, there were many more wildfires. That, my friends, is how to make up a phony temperature record. The shocking thing is that cynical official government agencies and the mainstream media are so shameless in pushing these fabrications.
now that we know their tricks, let's look at the true modern temperature records across U.S. states. Over 75% of them were recorded before 1955, with most of the records from the 1930s still unbroken. Just one state, Washington, has recently broke records. But climate alarmists won't acknowledge this. They will continue to claim that records are broken all the time.
It's time to call them out. Don't be conned. Check the data yourself. I'm Tom Nelson, and you've been watching Guerrilla Science. Please subscribe to our channel and donate to carry on. We need your help.